Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town Council meeting for the Town of Bladensburg for Monday, May 8th. Thank you for those who are joining us live and for those who will be watching the rebroadcast at some point. We appreciate your attention to the town business. At this time, we are now called to order. And the next item on our agenda is to have the opening prayer, which will be done by Councilmember McBride.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Even with the vision problem. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessing of life, health, and strength. We thank you for the activities of our limbs. We thank you for everyone that's assembled on our Zoom meeting tonight, those that were able to be here, those that were not able to be on for one reason or another. We ask you to still continue to bless them. Father, I ask a special blessing upon our young people today that are going through so much trauma and so much mental illness, disturbances. But Father, I pray that you will bless us all. Bless the town of Bladensburg. Bless every resident from the top to the bottom, from side to side, Ward 1 to Ward 2. I ask you to continue to keep us together, bind us together in unity, bind us together in love for one another, that we will love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Help us to be strengthened day by day. Bless our officers. Bless our DPWT workers. Bless everyone, every resident. In Jesus' name I pray and I ask these blessings. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember McBride. Councilmember Rout, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mr. Tonelli, or do we have a flag?
I think Mr. Gray would be able to call up the
Oh,
flag in
Mr.
just
Gray.
a second.
Yeah, I have a backup just in case you can't get it.
Okay.
When I was in school, they said, put your right hand over your heart, ready, begin. Like, that's what we used to say in elementary school.
So I am not seeing.
There we
Oh,
go.
there it is.
it.
Okay. Wonderful.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll move forward with the approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Mayor, point of clarification, in our work session, you wanted to either add the annexation specialist or during this meeting or during our next work session, or no, council meeting. Just wanted to know, what is the council's pleasure?
So a point of order, after getting a motion on the table in the second, then in the comments or questions, I was going to raise it afterwards and just to get the will of the council. So with that, I'll again call for a motion to approve tonight's council agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Again, as we closed out, and again, thank you, Councilmember Rout. As we closed out the work session, we did not get to the redevelopment consultant. And just as a reminder, we did agree that we wanted to reconsider that for FY 2024. So we're not necessarily up against a time constraint, but I think it would just be helpful to make a decision tonight on whether or not we want to go to RFP for that. So wanted to get the council's perspective in terms of, do you want to amend the agenda to include that tonight or add that to the June meeting?
So that's why I was asking, because as we have the motion presently, it's for our current agenda. So that's why I was asking, what was your pleasure before the motion was conducted? So at this time, I guess we can just table it until June. Because the motion on the floor is to accept the work session agenda with no corrections, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Rout. Is the council in agreement with that? And normally we would have corrections, so thank you for that. I think we've done that previously where we've added things to the agenda when we call for questions, comments, or edits. And so with that, I'll call for.
I'm sorry, where would we replace it on the agenda? Was it under finance, financial business?
Under financial business, that's correct. So it's fine. We can definitely table for the June meeting.
Okay.
So with that, I'll call for the motion to approve the agenda. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we don't have any appearances for tonight's council meeting. And with the approval of the minutes, I believe this needs to be tabled until the next meeting, Mr. Charnovich. I don't recall the council receiving the minutes for the April council meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, please, table, Mayor.
Okay, so for June.
Thank you.
And at this time, we will have to go into recess to start our constant yield public hearing. And so with that, I'll call for a motion to recess the current council meeting.
Also moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilmember Blunt, seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Charnovich to read any public comments submitted regarding the constant yield rate.
Thank you, Mayor. One moment, please. So this particular notice was duly posted and agreed to by the state. Is that correct? Correct, Mr. Tonelli, just for the record?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And I will read this into the record this evening. The mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg proposes to increase real property tax for the tax year beginning July 1, 2023. The estimated real property assessable base will increase by 2.8% from 549,258,390 to 564,839,567. If the town of Bladensburg maintains the current tax rate of 74 cents per hundred of assessment, real estate property tax revenues will increase by 2.8%, resulting in $115,301 of new real property tax revenues. In order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to 0.7196, the constant yield tax rate. The town of Bladensburg is considering not reducing its real property tax rate enough to fully offset increasing assessments. The town proposes to adopt a real property tax rate of 74 cents per hundred of assessment. This tax rate is 2.8% higher than the constant yield tax rate and will generate $115,301 in additional property tax revenues. A public hearing on proposed real estate tax rate increase will be held virtually at 7 p.m. on May 8th, 2023, this evening. The meeting will be streamed live on the town of Bladensburg's Facebook page, YouTube, and via Zoom, which you are all witness to right now this evening. The hearing is open to the public, and public testimony is encouraged. Participants who join the audio video conference will be enabled to speak by the meeting chair. Speakers will be allowed to address the mayor and council for 3 minutes. Public comment may also be emailed to clerk@bladensburgmd.gov. All electronic comments must be submitted by 5 p.m. on May 8th, 2023. Written comments can also be submitted to the town of Bladensburg, 4229 Edmonston Road, Bladensburg, Maryland, 27710, and must be received by 5 p.m. on May 8th, 2023. Comments received will be read into the record during the public comment portion of the meeting. Persons with questions regarding this hearing may call Bladensburg Town Hall 301-927-7048 for further information. And a couple of quick points, Mayor, for housekeeping. The first one being I have received no public comments in advance of the meeting by the 5 p.m. deadline, which was today. And then one other point I wanted to mention. Mr. Tennelly, did you want to maybe just announce for the video and the record the name of the newspaper that we published this ad in, just so people know?
Yeah, so it was the Prince George's Post.
Cool.
So it was in this guy, if you can see it. It doesn't show up well, but that's the one that the state said we could use, and
Yep.
was published, and all within the timelines noted. And they said we have to go ahead.
Thank
Yep.
you, sir. And then one other thing I wanted to point out, because I think it's mentioned when you do your constant yield presentation each year, but because this reads as though it's a little funky how it reads. Maybe you could just explain really quickly that the town of Bladensburg is not increasing taxes please.
Yes, anytime the assessments or the property values increase, the constant yield wants to decrease the tax rate the municipality or the county is charging to residents, because they want the homeowners to pay the same amount they paid the current year or the previous year. So it's advertised as a tax increase because on the whole, assessments have gone up 2.8%. So people, if they're, just to level a playing field. So if everybody's assessments or property values went up 2.8%, they're going to be paying 2.8% more in property taxes, even though the tax rate has not changed. Mayor, you may know, or Councilmember Brown, you're following the session. I know there was something in there to do away with this, unless there was an actual tax increase. I don't know. I know it passed. I know it passed the House unanimously. I don't know what it did in the other chamber and if it got signed.
My understanding is it did pass both houses, but I can double check that. It seemed that there was support in both chambers for the change in the legislation, so that it is not advertised as a tax increase, because we're not increasing our tax rate. So I will double check that with our legislative consultant, Mr. Perez, and then just circulate that information to the council. And perhaps we can even post it in the upcoming newsletter this week for our residents.
That would be great, because the way the bill read is you would only have to advertise if it was an actual tax rate increase and not a tax paid increase, because your assessments have gone up. So hopefully this is the last time we'll be going through this. But this is a required process, and it's I think I touched on real quick last time watching my time. Out of the 157 municipalities, 121 are exempted from doing this because they're smaller. If it changes 25,000, I think it's $25,000 or less change in revenues for the property taxes from one fiscal year to the next, you don't have to go through this process. But all your counties have to go through it, and your larger municipalities, which Bladensburg is one of those. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you for that. Back to you, Mr. Charnovich.
Oh, Mayor, I think that's all I have. I read the notice. No public comments were received on number 2 on the agenda. I believe that's all I had, unless I missed anything. Mr. Tennelly?
I think if there's no comments, they just close the hearing and reconvene back into the general session.
Great. So again, thank you for the reading of the notice, as well as giving just some background on the constant yield, and definitely appreciate you explaining that to our residents. With that, I'll call for a motion to close the constant yield hearing for 2023.
Also moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, I will call for a motion to come out of recess and reconvene our regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
Also move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. So we're now back into our regular council meeting. And at this time, the next item on the agenda is the reading of public comments. Mr. Charnovich.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, I have not received any public comments for the meeting, which is probably for the best considering I sound like a dying vacuum with my allergies. So allergies are hurting this time of year. Not everybody is. So
No, I sympathize with you. Thank you for that. And so we will move forward, understanding there are no public comments. At this time, the next item on the agenda that we'll get to is item number 9 under unfinished business. And we just wanted to let the residents know that the town administrator search is continuing to move forward. We did hire a professional consultant to help us with that search. And so the job announcement did close in mid-April. From that point, the consultant did help narrow down the 22 applicants to the top candidates. That information was shared with the council so we could agree upon the top 3 to bring in for interviews. And at this time, the consultant is moving forward with getting us prepared to hopefully start interviews in early June. So again, just wanted to give a brief update to the community. I don't want you to think because you haven't seen an announcement that we're not working on it. We are just trying to make sure that we do our due diligence and bring in the best possible candidate before our community to join our team. So that completes the update regarding the town administrator search. We are now in item 10 under financial business, have a couple of things here. So Mr. Tonelli, we'll turn it back over to you.
Is this for the ordinance for the first reading?
Oh, correct. Yes. So actually, Mr. Charnovich, I hope you can
I can
power through.
no, I
Rich-
got you.
Rich, do you want me to pull it up at the same time? Is it the same ordinance?
Please, Mr. Tonelli.
Okay, give me
Yeah, that would be
1
great
minute.
if you can screen share.
All right, give me one.
I totally jinxed myself with my dying vacuum joke. So joke's on me.
I had to turn my camera and mic off really quick after the hearing because I had a sneezing fit. I didn't want that to come on there. Okay, let me see.
I can start, Mr. Tonelli, while you pull it up.
Okay, go ahead.
So we have proposed FY24 budget ordinance number 6 of 2023, which would tonight would be the first reading of our budget ordinance. An ordinance to levy the real property and personal property tax rates and appropriate and adopt the operating budget of the mayor and council of Bladensburg, Maryland for the 2024 fiscal year of July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Be it enacted and ordained by the mayor and council of Bladensburg that pursuant to the authority contained in Article 501 of the Charter of Bladensburg, the town budget for the fiscal year 2024 is attached here too, and be it further enacted and ordained by the mayor and council of Bladensburg that the real property tax levy for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2023 be, and the same is hereby set at 74 cents per $100 of full value assessment on all taxable real property located within the corporate limits of the town of Bladensburg. Be it further enacted and ordained by the mayor and council of Bladensburg that the business personal property tax levy for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2023 be, and the same is hereby set at $2.09 per $100 of full value assessment on all taxable business personal property in the corporate limits of the town of Bladensburg. Be it further enacted and ordained by the mayor and council of Bladensburg, the general operating budget for fiscal year 2024 is attached, be and is hereby adopted, and Be it further enacted or ordained that upon adoption of this ordinance, the same shall be authenticated by the signature of the mayor and town clerk, be recorded among the town books and kept for that purpose, and that a certified copy of the ordinance shall be posted in the town hall in public view for a period of not less than 10 days after its passage. And be it further enacted and ordained that this ordinance shall be effective on the first day of July 2023. The requirement for reading this ordinance at 2 separate meetings was and will be fulfilled on May 8th, 2023 and June 12th, 2023. Introduced by the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg at a regular meeting on May 8th, 2023. And thereafter, this ordinance was prominently posted in the town hall and available for inspection by the public by order of the mayor and council. Thank you, Mayor.
Great, thank you, Mr. Charnovich, and glad you're able to power through. Definitely appreciate the reading of the ordinance. And again, just to confirm, we will come back in June and have our second reading at the June 12th Town Council meeting. And that is where hopefully the budget will be passed and adopted by the Town Council. So with that, we'll move to the next item under financial business, which is the Public Works equipment purchase. Mr. Hall, we'll turn it over to you. Mr. Hall, can you hear us? Is it just me or can anyone else hear Mr. Hall? No.
No, if he's speaking, he's on mute. Can't hear him.
I'm just trying to see. It looks
Please
like
text him, Mayor,
he's-
1 second.
Yeah,
He's
Thank
on the
you.
call, yeah, I see him.
yeah.
In the meantime, I have the equipment
Yeah,
pulled up
thank
here.
you for, thank you for bringing that up, Mr.
No
Antonelli.
problem.
Should be good now.
Okay, Mr.
man.
Hall, can you hear us now?
Man, he said he's waiting on the host to let him in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's in.
But we can see him in here.
Tell him to start talking.
All right, now I'm in.
Okay,
There he is.
Can you hear me?
good evening, sir. How are you?
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff and residents at home. Mayor and Council, what I'm proposing to y'all is we briefly talked about it in our last little budget session on Monday. And what me and Vito has talked about is we may be able to use some of the highway user revenue to go ahead and purchase a piece of equipment instead of putting it on a budget item. And what we have is, as you see, Vito had pulled up the screen. Thank you very much. Number 5 is a crosswalk walk behind machine, which is a thermoplastic machine that is not paint, is a little bit more durable than paint. So we have 14 crosswalks in town, and we have about 40 stop bars. The stop bars is the white line right as the stop sign that you stop at before you get to the stop sign. And this machine will allow us to do it at a rapid pace, because when we use paint, one person at each stop bar, we have to sit there, manually paint it with a roller, sit and wait about 15 minutes on each stop bar, and then go to the next one. As you apply this thermoplastic with this machine right here, as soon as it's hitting the asphalt, concrete, or any surface that is on, is drying immediately. So it will only take about 3 minutes to 4 minutes for something like this to apply and be ready for traffic to roll over. And it saves us a lot of time, because as we said, we have so many throughout the town, and we have 14 crosswalks in the little small town of Bladensburg, and they all full. They're not half-size crosswalks. They all reach from one gutter to another. So I was proposing, I have 3 quotes for you all. The first quote we have is from a place out of Kansas that came up to $13,899. And the second quote we have is from a company that we deal with and we have an account with, which is Sherwin-Williams, and their product. It is a Graco product. So let me start back at the beginning. all Graco products are coming through Sherwin-Williams, and if we get another Graco product, it's still gonna come through the Sherwin-Williams distribution plant or Sherwin-Williams, local offices that are here. And their price came in at $22,520. And also we had a third quote that's coming from McCormick Paints, which is a Graco product, and their price is coming to as $22,786. And let's keep in mind, when we're dealing with products like this and pieces of equipment like this, number one thing is you have to be able to get it maintained. You have to be able to get it repaired, anything happen. So when you're buying equipment out of the state, out of the country, wherever it is, you always keep in mind is, where are you going to go to get it repaired, and what's the turnaround time for you to get this type of equipment back and up and running so you can complete the job task that you have to do. And as you know, this is a seasonal thing where in the wintertime you can't do this because it's applying hot material. So it's not a seasonal thing for us when we use this type of material. And the one down below, as you see, is the line spread that we currently have one of those that we've had for about 7 years now, and she's ticking and talking a little bit, but she's still doing what we have to do with our curbs and everything. So that's what I'm bringing to you all now today, is to see if we can get approval to purchase this ahead of time instead of waiting for the budget as the proposals that I give to you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hall, for that recap, and definitely appreciate you taking the time to walk us through it during the recent budget conversation as well. And so just flipping through. So again, Mr. Hall, the recommendation that you have is for the Graco.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
the reason why, because Sherwin-Williams is probably about one of the stores around here when you're dealing with spray machines. It's not just any paint store that you can go that fixes spray machines. That everybody else, different municipalities, different contractors, McCormick Paint, Pittsburgh Paint, everybody's gonna recommend you to Sherwin-Williams Spray Shop, because that's kind of the only, I'm not gonna say the only one, but one of the higher level spray repair shops that you have right here in Prince George's County. And as we say, the turnaround time is what we're looking for. Is when we put something in, we expect to get something back in about a week. We don't want to wait a month, half month, 4 weeks to get our repair product back.
I agree. I remember you mentioned the Kansas example in the budget meeting. So
yes, ma'am.
Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to go down the line because you have questions, Mr. Hall, starting
Sure.
with Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hall. This is real quick. Do you know why there's almost $10,000 difference in between those two quotes?
Yes, ma'am. As I said from the beginning, a Graco product, and what you've seen from the other one is like is a Pittsburgh product. So the Graco product is a higher. Everybody, you even see Graco products when you go to Home Depot or anywhere, but they're not the same of what we're getting. What we're getting is a commercial style Graco machine instead of a residential style like you would get from Home Depot or something like that.
Right.
They look the same, they have the same name, but trust me, they're not the same.
Right, yeah.
But I will get. Here's what we're getting to. As I said at the beginning, we want to get a product that we're familiar with, myself and the guys, and also a product that we know locally that we can take it and get it repaired, 10 miles, 15 miles on down the road. We don't have to ship it to Baltimore or Virginia or something like that to get repaired. So that's why we're trying to stick with Sherwin-Williams, as we've been dealing with them for, I've been here 15, 16 years. So we've been dealing with them for a pretty long time, and they're staying behind their work and their quality.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And then one more question for you two more. First, Councilmember Rout.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to know what are highway user funds normally used for? Are they normally used for street lights and for potholes?
Well, I can turn that over to Vito a little bit more. He has a little bit more detail on it.
They're used for when they replace the street signs, the poles, the concrete, to do that, and the hardware, filling potholes, any equipment like the tractors, bulk salt that we pay about $5 to $6 grand a year for bulk salt. Any small, anything that has to do with the roads and sidewalks, and anything that, and any larger repairs too. When we do like the cul-de-sac or do the roads or something, that all gets pulled from the highway user revenues, and we report on that every year. About I think about sometime in October, we report on those. And anything unused just gets put back into our own internal highway user fund, which is over $500,000 right now, reserved for highway user projects, which is all those things. You know, unfortunately, you know, we're only one, you know, sinkhole away from using all that money. I hate to say, but you know, so it's nice to have that reserve in there too.
Yeah, what happened to the schedule that we were using for all of the roadways that we were going to repair? To my knowledge, that there was, you know, there's some, I learned last year that it's alligator or crocodile something, or I remember because I was like, oh, that's a funny name for a pothole or things. There are many places within Ward 1 that definitely need, because of the WSSC trucks, they needed that we need roads, you know, and not to say that equipment isn't important, but you know, our residents are concerned about the roads. So and then what about, you didn't answer my question, Ms. Snelly, about street lights.
Street lights, we touched on this a little bit last meeting. The installation or addition of new street lights, that would be covered. What I haven't done is the ongoing power cost, just electricity cost, which is around $50,000 to $55,000 a year. I haven't reported that because I'd rather use it more for capital than for utilities. But and I've been trying to get guidance from the state, you know, a little bit more broadened guidance. I ask every year and I get the same response. You know, they give me the subsection 412 of the code and saying you can use it for this. I'm like, okay, you know. So I've been reporting the same things every year and just holding back more for on the one-time and ongoing road maintenance items.
And then I will say
And
that,
Mayor, I'm sorry, just real quick, but Mr. Chinelli, and I remember that the call, well, when we had our meeting and we were talking about those poles, because that was the other thing too. One of my concerns was the town becoming Pepco and putting in poles and having to maintain utilities and all that. So, yeah.
And to go back to what you were saying, Councilmember Rao, we still are working on our road improvement plan. It hasn't changed, but we're you know, we're still on 57th Avenue and get ready to try to begin that first phase when school is out, and then after that, then we just trickle on down the list of what we have, and if maybe we can revisit it, and some of these things can get ajarred. You know, maybe we can start doing, you know, both of them if some of them is not as tent as others, you know. So if we just, for instance, the road that you was talking about, let's say 55th Avenue, that'll be the next project that's coming on down the list. We started from the top and gonna work our way down. So that road, nothing right there is no concrete, is no nothing. It's just mill and overlay. One little section you may have to mill 4 inches more than the other, but that's a plain and simple project. But we can revisit that in about another month and a half or two to try to move on to that. But we was trying to work on completing this 57th Avenue project first, and then we come on down. But we haven't forgot about the project list. If y'all need another one, just the follow of what we're trying to do, we can share it with you all.
and Mr. Hall, to that point, I think it would be helpful just to share. We understand it can fluctuate, but just so we have a sense, so that as we get questions from the residents, we can let them know. I do appreciate the way that you balance the projects. I know Decatur Street was just abysmal. And that was one where you got the bids, you got right on it in Ward 1, and those residents are extremely grateful for that work that was done over in Ward 1. But given the volume of buses, school buses and metro buses coming in on 57th, and then the vehicle traffic, not just from residents, but the parents dropping kids off at school, has really taken a toll. So definitely appreciate you prioritizing that along with the streetlight project, which will tie into our public safety efforts there. And so do appreciate the background and also the visual for the equipment. And Mr. Hall, I want to call for a motion and make sure we have the right vendor here and the price. So you're proposing the local vendor, Sherwin-Williams, is that the one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So is there a motion from the council to approve the equipment purchase for Public Works from Sherwin-Williams? Again, this is,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you. Oh,
I'm
there it
sorry,
is.
I
Thank
didn't know
you.
you
I
were
was going to
saying-
read the whole name for the
Okay, go
motion,
ahead, go
but
ahead.
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
That's okay.
Yeah.
For the, help me out, Mr. Hall, the prominent thermal laser. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Is a Promont 300 thermal laser 12. 12 means it's a 12-inch die on it. You can get different dies to do 4-inch, 12-inch, 8-inch. And what we're doing is a 12-inch is for our stop bars. And that's the actual size of the lines that's going through your crosswalks to make the crosswalks.
So I just want to make sure I have the name proper in the motion. So is there a motion to approve the Promont 300 laser equipment purchase for Public Works?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember Rout?
Thank you so much, Mayor James. I'm gonna lower my hand. I speak against this motion currently seated before us for the purposes of there are projects in a list that we have already put on hold with these highway user funds. We were told last year that we needed to wait. The year before that, the list continues to grow related to the equipment. Even though, Sherwin-Williams is up the street, there is a $10,000 difference for this particular piece of equipment. And then lastly, we have been talking about lighting and safety concerns over, the course of this meeting and last meeting, and that we have not yet explored the increase of the luminous as I suggested last council meeting. In addition to, there are existing poles that are there, and given other municipalities and working with PEPCO, all we would need to do would be purchase lighting from PEPCO to be added onto the poles. Of course, that is a process to be added onto the lighting and then getting the adequate permits. But when are we going to, as a town council, consider the safety of the residents, automobile safety as for the necessary roadways as far as potholes, and then the lighting. So for those particular reasons, those 3 reasons, I speak against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Rout, for those points. And I do disagree. We have been addressing and actually agreed in our last work session that we would put some money in to address our lighting needs while also going after some state or even county grant money to address that. So I think we're handling those issues. Again, as was stated, we're addressing the potholes throughout the community with Public Works support. We've had a great project that was successful on Decatur Street. We're now moving forward to address that on 57. So I appreciate the work of Public Works trying to engage on both fronts. With that, I see no other hands and we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
Thank you. The ayes have it. At this time, and again, thank you all, council, for all the thoughts and questions that you shared during that discussion. At this next point on the agenda, item C under section 10, financial business, wanted to again follow up on the pilot flood barrier project. This was something the council had a presentation on at the April 2023 work session. And we did ask the Director of Public Works and this is in follow-up to that presentation, to take note that we are in agreement that we want to move forward with the pilot project. However, we also want to ensure public engagement. So meetings with our residents, particularly those who are impacted, but others in the community, so that DPWT comes out either in an in-person meeting or we do it virtually. So we target the 38 homes that are directly impacted, as well as neighbors in the surrounding community, because we do want the residents to understand the significant impact of moving forward with this project. And so with that, I will call for a motion to approve the pilot flood barrier project.
I so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any comments, questions, or clarifications? Hearing.
I have a question,
sorry.
Mayor James. So where we would be putting money towards it, even though what if we get like a strong no from the property related to the easements? So at that time, would we just cease and there would be no dollars added? So could you help me understand the strategy as it relates to, so if we do vote in favor of this, then we would then conduct outreach and engagement to our residents, host maybe a session or two. And then if we do not get support from our residents, then we would not proceed. How would that look?
That's correct. We would need to get support from the residents. We can't force them to give us access. So this is going to have to be a collaborative process in order for the town to move forward.
Thank you so much for the clarity.
Absolutely. With that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And now we're moving forward under new business. Mr. Charnovich, do you want to take us through the legit Board of Trustees?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. One moment. Certainly. Not too complicated. There are two candidates that were submitted to us by Legit. And according to them, they say that each member has one vote. And we need to submit it by June 16th. So within the time frame to do that. And Mr. Tonelli has popped up the two individuals on the screen who are up for the Board of Trustees. Personally, I don't know either person, but just by seeing what's on the paper, they both like they have very impressive resumes. I think Mr. Peffer is the existing person. Yes.
And Mr. Charnovich, are they responsible for like investments, or could you explain to the public, like, why are we voting on them? Thank you.
Sure, Councilmember Rout. I actually might, Mr. Talley, can I pass that off to you?
Yeah, as you said,
Please.
As you said, Mr. Charnovich, the people in Legit, the members of Legit are members, so it's not per se a co-op. It is more of an organization. So as members of Legit and policyholders, we have a vote for this, and they are their board of directors, just like you all are the mayor and council. They oversee the staff, and Legit, I believe, has several subcommittees as well. So this is like the overall I would call it like the board of directors. And I do know Lenny on here. He's a good guy. I know him for quite a few years, so he's a good guy. He's on Eastern Shore, so that helps.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you,
Mayor.
Mr.
I was
Charnovich.
like, you're trying to, you know.
Not saying I'm
That's
a voter or
funny.
anything. I'm just saying that, I can vouch for,
You're just trying to use your influence.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Tonelli and Mr.
Way to go, Eastern
Charnovich.
Shore.
Right, right.
Very small. It's very small. It's why, so it's.
And again, just to clarify, so there are 2 slots that need to be fulfilled, Mr. Charnovich?
No, it's my understanding it's one slot, Mayor.
Just 1 slot. Okay, so with that, I'll open it up for discussion from the council in terms of which candidate you would like to approve for the legit Board of Trustees election. You guys look like you're thinking really hard about this. Councilmember Brown?
Me too. I'm like, both of us. I'm like, is this that? And then Blank scratching her head a little bit. It's like, okay, so. So, I mean, so we like have to do this like right now?
We can also table it because the vote is not due until June 16th. So if you want to do a little more background, it is fine.
Thank you.
I see Councilmember Blunt shaking her head. Okay, so is that okay with everyone? We'll table this for the June 8th meeting. Heads are
Okay.
nodding. Okay. So
It has to be
okay.
by maybe May 16th or June 16th.
No, I'm sorry, June 16th. So we would have to come back to this at the June 8th meeting.
Okay.
Is that enough time for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Purnell was over there cracking up too.
All right. So that item completes the new business items for tonight. So we will move into staff reports, beginning with Mr. Tonelli for the treasurer's report.
Second, I pulled up. Great, we get to talk about financials some more. I'm just going to touch on this really quick. I have was emailed out today, and we'll get on the website too, the treasurer's report of the activity through April, which is 10 months into the fiscal year. So we only have a couple months left. We've received 90% of our budget revenue so far. And we spent 81% of what's been budgeted. The tough thing here is, we still have some speed camera expenses that were approved, but we haven't completed the purchases yet, and they'll happen by the end of the fiscal year. The same with the ARPA projects as well. You can see that we just talked about that $800,000, which can be moved over into the next fiscal year. Everything else is pretty much within budget right now. Public safety is over, but that is driven by the overtime because of we were down staff the first part of this year, and you can just see some graphs on here of where we are for each department. Excuse me. And there's also department statements for each department. Again, these are posted every single month, just so you can see the progression as we get, towards the end of the fiscal year. So right now we have almost $900,000 left to be used for the end of the fiscal year, but there is still more revenue coming in for business property tax assessments, ARPA transfers. And I'm gonna stop there because I'm starting to cost.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Tonelli. And also just while I have a moment, want to thank you for all the hard work you're putting into the budget conversations, meeting with the staff, getting things together, as well as walking us through that in each of the budget work sessions. And could you just say it again? At this point and where we are in the fiscal year, we've collected what % of our revenue total?
We have collected 90% of our revenue through this fiscal year right now, which
Okay,
is,
thank you.
yeah, so it's right along here. And I just want to touch on too, this is the progression of our budgets. Okay, so going back to FY16, they blew us up a little bit more. I can't find it on here. Okay, so you can see the budget's been kind of relatively stable in the high 5s, low 6s range, and then it jumps considerably because of the ARPA funding and the SPEED program funding, and we're projecting about the same for FY24 as well. And getting back to Councilmember Rout's previous thing in the budget work session, that's where we still have the same amount of administrative staff here doing this much more, of the workload. So, and Councilmember Rout, you have your hand up. I'm sorry.
Yes, and you all have, the residents have been talking, really raving about you and your staff member because of just, they appreciate the transparency related to the process of their, the assistance checks. And so I just want to publicly thank you all for what you're doing for our residents working with a very small staff. But I did want to ask about the business assistance. Could you, for ARPA, could you let us know how many applications were actually paid out?
1 second.
And were there any denied applications?
10 were paid out, and I think we have 2 pending right now for, I'm sorry, they have not been actually paid out. They will be paid out tomorrow or Wednesday. They're in the system right now. I think we have 2 more that we need to look at the documentation again. We might have to go back and ask for additional documentation.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Just taking a look, I think.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm
that
trying to
is all of
raise
the
my,
hands.
trying to raise my hand.
Okay, Councilmember
Okay, I
Brown.
can raise my hand. Sorry. Ms. Savito, so I just want some clarification. There were 8 businesses or 10 businesses, are those businesses you were just mentioning? For the opera funds?
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 12 in the system right now. 10 are ready to get paid.
Okay,
so
so that's good. That's good that we were getting some
Yeah.
response.
Yeah, because the postcard went out, about 20 days ago, I think.
Postcard went out, and then also it was in a newsletter as well.
Yes, you're right. You're right. So,
As well.
mhm.
Okay,
Great, thank you for that. So we'll move to the next staff report, which is public safety. And as part of that, we'll also pivot to code enforcement. So over to you, Chief.
Hey, little one, we had a little one to join us.
Good
I haven't seen
afternoon,
her in
Mayor,
a
Council,
long time.
residents, colleagues. I just want to, I think I'll just start with because we've been dealing with the media and the community questions and concerns involving the juvenile that were shot in Bladensburg. Yesterday, about 11:30, we received a alert from our gun detection system in the area, the 4200 block of 53rd Avenue. And when units responded out there, we've encountered 2 vehicles that were trying to speed away. One made good their escape, and the other collided with 2 vehicles. One, unfortunately, was occupied, And so they had to, that person was transported with non-life-threatening injuries. Subsequent into the investigation, we found out that those two vehicles that were in Bladensburg, one was reported from Washington Airport Authority in Virginia, and the other one was reported stolen through DC. We later learned that two juveniles showed up at two different hospitals in DC with gunshot wounds. And they claimed they were shot in Bladensburg. We confirmed it. We did locate the second vehicle that contained blood inside of. So our investigators, I want to commend them for working throughout the night on this investigation. We also want to thank the public for sending us, videos and cooperating with our detectives, because we can never do what we do without our residents being our second set of eyes out there for us. As a result of that, we have learned that these individuals did come from DC, 2 carloads of young folks to steal another car. And they were spotted in the act of stealing that car. And they were both from DC, and I don't want to put too much out there. It's a sad state of affairs that our offenders are becoming younger and younger. And to see our juvenile, our babies, children, they are, being shot out here, and it's just sad on both sides, because you work hard for your property, someone's trying to take it. And then these are young offenders out here that are committing these crimes. So we put out a press release today. I had our PIO posted this afternoon. We've been dealing with the media on it. We will continue to work with MPD, DC Police as well, because they showed up in Washington, DC at the same time. So I just want to put the community and let the community know that this was an isolated incident. We do not have, juveniles and everybody just running around. Our juveniles in Blade were not involved in this incident. None of our students from any of our schools. These were 2 individuals from Washington, DC. So I'll leave that with that. If there are any questions, I'll be willing to answer any questions that you may have. I know that I did get an email from one of our residents that did a screenshot of a vehicle that was parked and said it was a great car, but I will tell you, these cars came from DC. This is not a car associated with one of our parking complaints. This car was brought to the town of Bladensburg, and they try to flee in that car as well. So if there are any questions, I will ascertain any questions. But again, I want to thank our staff for working diligently on this. And I want to also thank our community for always stepping to the forefront, working with our officers. So I will hope that everyone would download the GoGov app, because that is a good resource to get information to us immediately, pictures and anything else that you might see out there. If you see something, we do encourage you to say something.
Chief, thank you for that update and for the hard work that our investigators have put into this situation. I do just want to say, from the meeting that we had with Sheriff Carr about a week and a half ago, as he was giving stats across the county with the car thefts, armed carjackings, they couldn't obviously show us the home addresses, but when, by and large, and this is just for juveniles, every single case that they were showing us had a DC address attached to it. And so, as I said, to you yesterday, I definitely want to work with you to hold a public safety forum in June so we can address these issues with the community. I have reached out to Sheriff Carr to get him on board and a few other speakers so we can really have a conversation with the public to let them know this is a serious problem, but we all need to be working together. If you see something, say something, but to also help our residents understand the process, the legal process of what happens because it's not magic. You know, once they're taken away, there's still a legal process that's going on with these suspects, now that they're apprehended once they're out of the hospital. And we want our residents to be informed and understand what is happening within the judicial system, because oftentimes they get frustrated and feel like these kids are getting out and doing this over and over again. And sometimes there's truth to that. So we just want to have a community conversation and really address this issue, but also try to provide some resources for these young people and really get them to open up and talk to us about what's going on. I know, as you said, it's mostly coming across the border, but even inviting someone from DC to join us in that conversation, so we figure out how we can work with them to address this, because we can't solve it by ourselves. Councilmember Rout, thank you for your patience. I see your hand.
Thank you, Mayor James. I think that's an excellent opportunity for the public to be able to hear directly from representatives that sit with the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services, who, once children are committed, they are committed to that agency. So I used to work for that agency. I would happy to connect you with anyone that's working after trial services, and or CSOSA, which deals with, that's a federal entity just for juveniles, that's for pretrial services. And so those are two pockets of young people. And so, yes, it is important. We also should consider, just for our own purposes and our own residents and their mental health, several residents who've witnessed this, they have reached out to me as their Ward 1 council member, just upset. You know, no one wants to get anything stolen from them or have anything taken from them, or even witness something as tragic as cars, colliding. Chief Collington, I would really like to see, with the victims and or people affected, if we can have them work with our community action team to locate some maybe mental health services that are available to them here in Prince George's County, whether that's just, something that's covered by our health department. I know there's a lot of free opportunities. The sheriff's department, they were at our mental health awareness event, but they're affected. They're scared. They're upset. They're mad. One resident, we talked quite at length today. She's just saying she's just so upset that their children, upset that it happened to her. So I do think that because Bladensburg cares, we need to really look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Blunt.
Yeah, you all may have already addressed it in a prior meeting, but are we still going to get the cameras for the homes, or have you all talked about that in length again? Because if the crime's picking up, or because is it ever going to stop? We hope that it stopped, but is it really ever going to stop? So if something happens, at least people can have cameras on their houses and help Chief Collington and any other officers about what they've seen and where they are. I'm just asking where you all at on that.
Man, you want me to?
Sure, go ahead,
Oh,
Chief.
So yes, thank you, Councilmember Blunt. So yes, we're still working with Councilmember Rout with that. She and I discussed who will be running point on it and how this is going to look rolling out to the community. So this is definitely a priority for us. This is not just going by the wayside, but we want to remind everyone that which they've done. One thing I can say, since I've been here in Bladensburg, we do have a very engaged community, and they will, work with the police. They do not mind talking to the police. And when you mention these crimes, and it's unfortunate that our residents, our young people, we're not having these issues. We're having these issues from people coming outside of our jurisdiction, crossing the line. And I would just share with the community that these cars, both of those cars were filled with young people. So what were they doing riding around on Sunday at 11:30? You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Everybody's gonna have a car by the end of the day, and it's sad. It's 11:30 when I was sitting in church and I'm looking at my cell phone and I'm getting alerts that, we had this shooting incident. And so it's very unnerving, for the residents. I definitely understand. And our officers are out there, they're patrolling, they're doing their job, but when they come in and, they have an intent, their opportunities. That's what they're looking for, an opportunity to take someone else's car and ride back over to DC. And we unfortunately sit at a lot of thoroughfares here, 450 Parkway, a lot of egress routes are located right here in Bladensburg.
And I know, I guess I speak for teens and youth all over, just not Bladensburg. I just speak, for the heart and souls of where they are and hoping for a miracle with these youth. And I speak for not only Bladensburg, but everybody when it comes to a youth.
Right. And
Thank
we
you,
are waiting on the
Councilmember
cameras. We are waiting on our cameras to come back. We just got an email that they are back en route. They've been set up, programmed, and synchronized with their SIMS cards. So the cameras should be going up here in a couple of weeks or less,
Perfect.
whenever they get
Thank
back
you.
here.
Thank you for that, Chief. That's really good news. Councilmember Brown, and then we'll move to code enforcement.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna be real quick with my comments here because it's just unfortunate that crime is just all over, and I guess outside of looking at statistics, I'm sure that we have our stats there as well, but it's just unfortunate that the young folks, wherever they come from, are just continuing to engage in these senseless crimes and taking property away from people who have just worked so hard. So wherever they're coming from, wherever, it's just not right, and it's just senseless. And we just really have to, because there has to be some type of paradigm shift here, because the more news we hear, things are just going increasingly the opposite direction. So, wanted to mention that, and then there was one other piece about it escapes me now, but did want to mention that part there.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Councilmember Brown. And so, Chief, will stick with your team and move over to code enforcement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First off, I want to thank everybody that actually came out last month to our Green Up Cleanup event. It was a huge success. I want to thank all the mayor, council, and staff that came out and participated and helped advertise. It was a great event. A couple of our highlights this month is we've had 22 abandoned vehicles in the residential area, 2 in the apartment area, and 8 in the business area. 2 of those vehicles were impounded. All of our code enforcement staff, including several members of the police department, we attended Narcan training hosted by the health department. During that, we're also in the process with the health department to get some train the trainers in case there's any other staff members that would like to get that information or take that training, and then maybe eventually be able to reach out to the community a little bit more once we get that training out and done. Another program that we've been working on actively the last month or so, we've been aggressively hitting the parking violations in town. That would be your abandoned vehicles, your vehicles parked the wrong way, vehicles parked in no parking zones. I believe last month alone, we issued around 30 citations to those vehicles. So we're out there. So if you see us and your vehicle's in violation, we will get you. And actually some of the other council members have seen us out there, and some of the residents have reached out to us with concerns. I see Councilwoman Blunt, has some, we've been out there hitting the vehicles, and again, we're going to be out there. You're going to see us, and we're out there, on the weekends and everything. So you'll see us out there. So again, as Chief stressed, please download the My Bladensburg app on your Apple phones or your Android phone. That's a good way to send us pictures of your violations directly to code enforcement, and we can get them addressed a whole lot quicker. I thank you guys, and remember, it's a free app.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Officer Reinhardt, for that update and for the great job with the cleanup, green up effort. I know residents truly appreciate it, being able to drop off their bulky trash and get their shredding out of the house and into a secure source. So we definitely appreciate that effort from you and your team and look forward to that next opportunity. Mr. Charnovich, I'll turn it over to you for town clerk and interim town administrator updates.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple points I wanted to mention this evening. First and foremost, I wanted to thank the council and your leadership for the update regarding the town administrator position that was announced earlier this evening. I will say that from my perspective, it's one thing for us to, operate, keep the organization moving. But if we want to excel and we want to take Bladensburg to the next step, we need additional leadership positions in place. And this is a very big part of that and a big step to get that position filled. And I think you'll find that a lot of the things that are maybe falling a little bit to the wayside and not happening, when you bring that additional that TA on board, who I can then collaborate with and all of our department heads, you'll find that a lot of things will start to move forward. And I thank you for that. It'll be a great benefit to both me and to everyone in the organization. It's budget time, as we all know. That's taking up a significant amount of our time, working in tandem with Mr. Tonelli, thinking through things on a daily basis, and ARPA. We touched on the ARPA budget in the work session. This past year, ARPA has been a major time-consuming part of the admin side and the finance side, whether it's the housing assistance program and all the other things that are going along with it. Now the business assistance is hopefully going to ramp up and get some more businesses applying. If you're anybody Bladensburg business who wants to apply, feel free to come our way. We have a lot more allocated, so hopefully more businesses will apply for that. And then one other thing I wanted to mention before I'm done, we have a new administrative help in the front office. Her name is Monsi. I would say that Monsi has jumped right in the front office, and she has been eager and willing to help at each turn that has happened. She's been very helpful in her short time here, and look forward to continuing to be successful and her help for all of us in the front office. I think that's all I have, Mayor. Happy May to everyone.
Great, thank you. At this time, we'll move to Public Works. Mr. Hall.
I had a question for Mr. Charnovich, Mayor James.
Councilmember Rout.
Thank you so much, Mayor James. Mr. Charnovich, can you touch on the issues that's related to our plumbing? Any updates related to anything that's going on with our town hall building?
Sure, and I'll try to be brief, even though I never am. I'll try to be brief. Approximately, I guess by now was approximately, let's call it a few days ago, week ago, whatever it was. We had an incident occur in the police department that caused damage with a flood in the men's restroom. And by the way, Chief Collington, you can feel free to chime in if I say anything incorrectly. We are now in a phase of working. We had a plumber come to take a look at it. It turned out that the problem that was initially diagnosed is going to take a lot more to work on and diagnose underneath the building. Since then, we have Chief Collington has been working on getting his offices cleared out into pods and into wherever they are feeling the best place to put those items are. We are also going to be operating out of it's my understanding this week, a double wide trailer is going to be brought in and delivered. Chief Collington, is that going to be put on the fire department VFD lot?
Yes, it'll be the lot right across the street in front of the fire training center.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to be temporarily having operations work out of that while this problem is being diagnosed. I know the plumber was supposed to be starting on the next phase. I thought it was going to be today or tomorrow. I'm not sure if that got pushed back at all. Mr. Hall or Chief, maybe you could help chime in. Is that we still?
It's been pushed back until we can kind of get a place to go, because we have no other real estate to go. So Mr. Hall, I want to commend Mr. Hall for his prompt response to try to mitigate this situation for us. We couldn't have done it, Sean. So it's been all hands on deck. So I want to thank everyone, the council, everyone, for helping us to navigate through the situation.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. I echo that sentiment. I really appreciate the way all the department heads came together to resolve this and help us get through it, and look forward to it being resolved as quickly as possible. So with that, Mr. Hall, we'll turn it over to you for a Public Works update.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council, staff, residents. And since we were just talking about the little sewer update, we can bring it a little bit. I can bring a little bit more detail to us. Is the problem that happened is, as you know, aging buildings were back in the days made with cast iron pipes, and cast iron pipes hold a lot of debris after 10, 15 years. It just doesn't evaporate or nothing. All it do is cake up against the wall of the pipe. And as you see a 4-inch pipe, and after 5, 7 years, 10 years, the 4-inch then accumulated no more passageway than maybe 2 inches. So that's what happened in aging buildings like this. And as you know, in new buildings, cast iron is no longer used. All you're using is hard PVC and stuff like that. So what we're doing right now is they'll be replacing the old cast iron pipes that we have existing due to the problem to PVC pipes. And that will be a much cleaner run for, I hate to say, but sewer, nothing is clean for sewer, but it'll be a cleaner run for it to, to pressurize to go the route that it's supposed to go, and leave the building and go to the right direction at a high temperature. So that's what we're looking for. It's not no preventive maintenance that could have happened or anything. It's just something that did happen. If you can't see a pipe beneath the ground, you don't know anything until it, I hate to say it, but burst, erupt, or something happened. So that's what we're doing. And as Chief said, we all has came together to try to move this thing quick as possible. But we also got to know, when we do this project right here, what's the next step after everything is moved out, furniture moved out, all this moved out. So that's what we also are working on too, not just trying to get them relocated, but having a final conclusion of the repair so they can get back into their offices. So there's a lot of stuff that's going underneath the umbrella of the repair of the police department too as well. But we're moving, and we're working kind of fast with each other to make sure that we do it right, not just have to come revisit it again. And also, due to our report, I just want to thank our guys. A lot of us is, summertime, we haven't had the time to get out there. So sometimes you may see Public Works, 3 men out there because other guys are on vacation or what. But I want to thank the guys for just stepping up to the plate and holding and appreciating what they do out there for the town of Bladensburg. And back to it, Public Works Department, we helped out with, it was previous events going on this year. Also, this month we had 3 in one weekend, which was very, very successful. As we say, the Bulky Day at the Town Hall, and also the Bike Olympic at the Bladensburg Community Center. I want to thank Gambino and Ivan. They were transported materials up there for Officer Tanksley, and also they came back and was working with Mayor James and the council, and also the volunteers. I want to thank the volunteers also as well for helping volunteering during the Earth Day and planting the flowers, the nice little flowers and trees and everything. We have pictures in a photo of in the report of that. And once again, thank all the volunteers, mayor and council, and one resident, Miss Brown. She's very helpful master carpenter, as we say. That's Miss Brown Garden. She did add some extra plants out there after we did something. She went on her own and added other plants, in which I said, Pernell, give you permission. This is your garden right here. You're able to
She
do what
referred
you
to
want
it
to do.
as your surprise, Mr. Hall. She
Yes,
swore me
ma'am.
to secrecy. I just want you to know. So, that was your surprise.
Yes. Oh man. Okay. Okay. But thank you. She's very helpful. She's very energetic. She loves planting. She knows the style. So maybe, that can be one of our trainees one day later on down the road, to help our volunteers, not only volunteers, just residents that want to learn a little bit about the earth or have a green thumb and learn a little bit about planting as well. So I thank you very much, Ms. Brown, if you're on the line listening to us. And after that, that's what we working on. Basically, our hard part right now is we're trying to just get everybody replaced into the right offices, as that's our number one thing right now. We're taking care of our grass. We're taking care of the lots at Peace Cross, Boswick, the cemetery. Cemetery is coming along very, very well. I don't know if y'all been up there and seen anything, but we've cutting through it like a little goat, but we using machines. And I thank the guys for all the hard work that they're doing, cutting grass right now. It's kind of going to be a busy season with our schedule, and then cutting grass maybe three days out of a week. So 2 days out of a week, we're on schedule, bulk building material, bulk trash for the condo. And the condos are getting a little bit better with the bulk trash. And I want to thank everyone that we all sit up on it and try to explain to them how the operation going. And that way we'll be able to get everything that they're putting out there. No, we're not a big entity. No, we don't have a trash truck, but we're trying to do the best that we can do. And that's the end of my report.
Mayor, you're on mute. You're on mute.
All right, thank you. I was thanking you, Mr. Hall. So I'll say it again. Thank you so much. And thank you to the entire Public Works team for all of your hard work and for going above and beyond. We truly do appreciate you and your staff. Want to move forward with the mayor and council reports, beginning with Councilmember Brown in Ward 1.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to make this real short, but first of all, I would like to just thank, once again, like you just said, thank the town staff for just all of their hard work. And I know that sometimes, to our residents, sometimes it's you'll hear, Ward 1 or Ward 2, but at the end of the day, we are the council for all wards, for Ward 20. So we're here to support and service all of our residents in the town of Bladensburg and our businesses here in the town of Bladensburg. And Mr. Purnell, in terms of the some of the condominiums, I do know that some of that bulk trash that's left out, like sometimes they'll put bulk trash out on like a Sunday or Monday and it's not picked up until Friday, but some of it is illegal dumping. And so we are, where I live, we are kind of trying to look at that illegal dumping, because it's not fair to us as a town and just as a whole that people do that illegal dumping. But once again, like I said, I would like to just thank the town staff for just continuing to do a wonderful job, and I yield back the rest of my time. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. And so we'll hop over to cross the line, Ward 2 with Councilmember McBride.
Councilmember McBride is going to make it very brief and quick. I was grateful, number one, for the Earth Day, and I got a chance to work with Ms. Brown in the earth. I even took a seat. So I'm grateful for that. I've just been able to attend a few things, and thank you to Councilmember Blunt. I was able to attend Emerson House Resident Council meeting for her encouragement. And I love the residents, the senior residents there. I've attended, let's see, what else? The Hispanic Latino reception with Elizabeth Seton High School. It was a couple of things. The Elizabeth Seton Young Women's Entrepreneur Event. And it's a couple other things, but I'm gonna make that it, and I'll just send in my report. But thank you so much. Oh, one more thing. Councilmember Rout and Blunt, we went on an excursion on lighting and looking for the lights that were out, and she helped us to learn how to examine the poles and find the numbers. Thank you so very much, greatly appreciated. And we're looking to brighten Bladensburg. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride. Next, we'll continue with Ward 2 with Councilmember Blunt.
Good evening. I do not have a green thumb. It's nail polish. I'm scared of bugs. I am scared of, anyway, I don't have a green thumb, so, but I do appreciate all the ones that get out there and do that digging, do all of that stuff. Again, I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Rout and Councilman McBride. We're going out, jumping in and out of cars, looking at light poles. She gave me a workout. She gave me a workout. At least I know how to look at a pole and get a number off, and things that I wouldn't have never have done before. That's pretty much it. Other than working with Como Manor and their seniors, along with Councilman McBride, going over there to help them build their senior club. It's not only as Como Manor, they're dealing with Emerson House, Bladensburg, and the whole, I think Newton, a little bit of Newton Green residents going to Como Manor for the senior program. I know I can't retract what I said earlier about that extra 1,000, because I know unlike Emerson House, we do have funding, they do fundraiser, but Parkview do not get to do the things that we do because they're management. And I would say you can cut without extra 1,000, but with Parkview, they don't do anything. They can't raise money. They don't have it. So to take money from them, it would only, it wouldn't be nice. So, but Emerson House, I don't mind, but take it from Parkview, they have nothing. They have nothing. So again, whatever I have here, I usually bring there, but they have nothing. So I know I probably can't retract it. I'm not too sure about Newton Green, but I do know they have more support than Parkview. So keeping that in mind, they need all they can get. All right. That's all.
Thank you for that report, Councilmember Blunt. And now we will hop back over to Ward 1 with Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor James. I have submitted a report to the acting town administrator as clerk. A couple things I wanted to highlight. I just want to really thank all of the volunteers in the community for coming out to support the Mental Health Awareness Day. Even though it was in the month of May, I wanted to take this time to truly thank the police department for their partnership, the town staff, because we had a person that was really suicidal that came to the event and they sought help. And that, that's what community is all about. Mental health should be a priority for everyone. And I just want to thank Councilmember McBride and Councilmember Brown for coming out to support the event. And the residents truly appreciate this opportunity to get wellness exercises. And truly mental health is part of the problem that we have going on with the crime and increased items that are happening all over the United States. So making mental health a priority should be something that we take on as a council. Ward 1, the lights, I'm not going to stop talking about the lights because it's a danger for our residents. So I am going to be surveying on a weekly basis, just Ward 1. Ward 2, you all already know how to do it, so you can do it now. But just looking at all of the dim and low lit areas, and they're light bulbs. So sometimes they come out and sometimes they don't. And, you know, our public works staff, they're phenomenal, but sometimes they don't, you know, see some of the lights because they're not working when it gets dark because of the longer days. So I'm going to do my part. I'm asking all community members to do their part by calling it into PEPCO. I've attended various events around town at Elizabeth Seton High School. I've continued to advocate for residents who live at the Quincy Avenue, Hillcrest Living, and Schwab Management. I constantly shake my head at that bad actor. And so we just hope that, you know, we come to a resolution with supporting the residents' needs, which they're really truly being treated unfairly. At this time, I just welcome everyone to read my report that will be posted on the website. I yield.
Thank you for that report, Councilmember Rout. And let me start the timer for myself, 3 minutes. Okay. So as far as the month of April, wanted to share a few highlights, and also we'll have my written report posted. We did, the leaders of each of the port towns, we did get together, have a short meeting in advance of the port towns quarterly meeting, just to start brainstorming around ideas for branding of the port towns so that we can help have at least some foundational ideas that we build a brand around, similar to what the Gateway Arts District has done and others to get redevelopment going in those communities. From that conversation, I did recommend branding ourselves as a historic gateway. Others brought up arts and sustainability. And so the wonderful thing is when we had our Port Towns quarterly meeting later in the month, members of our various commissions and councils started also sharing more ideas to help us so that we can really build consensus around that broader theme and ultimately help us again get funding for redevelopment, also attract specific businesses to really revitalize the look and feel of our Main Street corridor along Annapolis Road. Councilmember McBride and I did have a follow-up meeting with Green Mechanics regarding the Rain Barrel program. We're looking to put together the application as well as the not just the document, but the application process and get legal review so we can bring that information back to the council for review and discussion. So that is continuing. Also had a chance to participate in the quarterly meeting with Prince George's County Executive's municipal liaison, and Councilmember Brown did join me for that meeting. This time around, we heard from the Government, Infrastructure, Technology, and Environmental Services cluster. And so that gave us insights into the departments of Public Works and Transportation, some of their priorities as it relates to improving water quality across the county, the collection, process, and diversion of waste, of waste from landfills, also educational awareness around litter reduction and pollution prevention. So a host of great information was provided there. The other thing that we participated in was a Port Town Sector Plan kickoff meeting. So each mayor was included for the port towns along with the town administrators, just to again have a follow-up to our previous meeting with the project manager for Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. And there we just really got greater insights into truly what the sector plan process is, how it will work, how the process will evolve as we continue to work with our respective councils and the community to get stakeholder engagement. We're very early in the process. So again, we want to have these initial ideas of what we want to brand our community as to help us with redevelopment, but really have some at least initial ideas to share with the community as we move forward and begin the community engagement components. And finally, thank you to everyone who made Growing Green with Pride, Clean Up Green Up a success. More information is contained in my report, but definitely appreciate the opportunity to serve the community during the month of April. At this time, we have come to the final item on our agenda, which is adjournment. So at this time, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt.
Second.
Is there a second? By Councilmember Rout. Any comments or questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who's celebrating next Sunday. Take care, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Happy Mother's Day.